I mentioned the changing threat landscape at the beginning of this program and how it's pushing leaders to respond. Dean Hullings is Defense Account Manager at Forescout Technologies. He tells me where the threats are coming from and how they're changing.
One of the things, as a cyber guy from the Department of Defense, one of the things that amazes me is the threats to national security today, I think, aren't just state actors. I mean, you're seeing the emergence of people with a cause, and they jump on one side or another on an issue, and that becomes a national security threat that then gets higher than, the script kiddies that we used to talk about all the time of, teenagers in people's basements. Mm-hmm. Well, the sophistication level is much higher today with all of these activists, hacktivists they call them, that are emerging and really creating challenges that are not in a war plan, so to speak, on how you're going to counter that. So I think that's going to be the biggest challenge that the DoD is facing, and already is facing it, but it's going to continue, and the sophistication will continue to grow.
Is it fair to say that the skill level, the sophistication level of those attacks, especially of the hacktivists that you're talking about, is increasing exponentially rather than in a linear fashion? And if that's the case, what does that mean for the way that an organization like DoD needs to think about them to defend against them?
Yeah, so I'm not sure it's exponential, but it is definitely a very high, steep curve, not only in their skill sets, but I also think in the sheer numbers of people that are participating in this. And that's where you start getting into the connection between people that just have an idea and a cause and people that are backed by state governments that then get the training and then get introduced into these larger organizations to actually make a big difference instead of just a small, oh, this thing happened over here, we took care of it, it cost some money, but let's move on. Now that is becoming more and more of a threat of a way of life, catastrophe. You see the malware in hospitals that shut down, public good that can't happen anymore because a hospital is shut down or a doctor's office has ransomware on it or something like that. And you have those same kinds of threats with your operational technology, more of the water companies and the power distribution companies and all of these things that are public and serve the public. That's going to change the game quite a bit if they go down on a major scale, and that's where I think the DoD needs to be continuing to, because I know that with my time at Northcom, I know that those kinds of conversations have happened, but bringing the DoD level skill set to potentially companies and organizations that are not necessarily government, but or maybe government at the state and local level, bringing that same level of skill set to counter those kinds of threats, I think is going to be an important step in our very near future.
We have about a minute left. Should the defense posture and the tools that are used, are they the same for nations defending against a nation-state actor or a quasi-nation-state state-sponsored actor versus the hacktivists that may be operating on a more ad hoc basis?
There are a lot of commonalities in all of these different tool sets, but what they tend to do is they use the same tool sets against new vulnerabilities that are found in different networks. And as I said, for instance, the electric distribution grid, power grid, is a new challenge for us. It's not really a new challenge, but it's a challenge that the bad guys have been digging into. What are the vulnerabilities? How can I gain access and then control those kinds of environments? And that's why, the DoD continues to expand what they are doing with different programs to go beyond just looking at information technology systems, but also the operational technology systems. And quite frankly, that's where my company has been able to help them bridge that gap and take care of a more holistic look at what is important to a mission and how do we protect it.
Dean Hullings of Forescout.